So I started asking Dan how quickly could I get the tent, and I did that so much that he finally sent me his personal tent before the rest were released. Yes, that's Dan's actual tent. Have you ever wondered if a two-person freestanding tent could check all the boxes? Can it be light, spacious, and stormproof? Let's take a quick trip through freestanding tent history to see if the Durston X-Dome 2 is the perfect two-person tent that I've always been searching for.
Back in the 1960s, the Eureka Drawtight was the first freestanding tent, a two-person beast at 12.5 pounds. It had an external frame, canvas, or fancy Polaris cloth, and no rainfly was needed. It was a game changer. And it was also the segue to the very first lightweight freestanding backpacking tent in the 1970s, the Eureka Timberline. And by lightweight, it was 7.5 pounds. But hey, that's 5 pounds less than the Drawtight.
Fast forward to today, and the two-person tent market is overflowing with options. Some are light, some are sturdy, some are spacious and comfortable. Some of them claim to be freestanding, but none of them do everything well. For years, I've been searching for the perfect two-person tent, and today, I think I found it in the Durston X-Dome 2. Let's see if it really fixes everything. You see, when I started backpacking, I was a swinger. Wait, no, not that kind. I was a hammock guy swinging between two trees. Ever since I got Leo, I left my hammock days behind and became a ground dweller. So I've been trying to perfect a perfect backpacking gear system that works in every situation. And that starts with the perfect tent. You see, on most trails, finding a place to pitch your tent is pretty easy. Just maybe not there. That's until you find ground that's too hard to drive your stakes in, or you have to pitch on a wooden platform. Setting up a trekking pole tent with rocks? Good luck. Freestanding is the way to go. But in the past, that meant either sacrificing space or adding weight. Now, Dan Durston's obsession with tent innovation has led to the X-Mid becoming the most popular tent on most trails. With a parallelogram-shaped floor being the first of its kind, it gives his tents a unique amount of room for storage that's unlike anything else out there. So when he announced the release of his X-Dome freestanding tent, I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. However, he released the X-Dome 1 first, and since hiking without Leo isn't an option, I had to wait for the release of the X-Dome 2. So there I was, refreshing the countdown timer on his website daily, hoping it would speed it up. So as soon as they were available, I bought one. And I started asking Dan how quickly I could get mine so often that he finally sent me his personal tent from his setup video before the rest were released. That's the actual tent on Dan's website. There are a few questions that most people would ask when it comes to answering the question, what would be the perfect freestanding two-person tent? The first question being, what about floor space? You see, the biggest complaint that most people have about two-person tents is the lack of floor space. The ability to have two 25-inch pads sleeping side by side allows most people the room and the space that they need to live and sleep comfortably. But the problem with those is they have little to no vestibule room and very little living space with two 25-inch pads. And everything else out there is either for 3 people or it's not freestanding. The X-Dome 2 nails it. It's 32 square feet of space, it's 52 inches wide, 88 inches long, and it's still the parallelogram that allows for all of the extra storage space in the tent. And headroom, that's another issue. In my old tent, you can't sit up comfortably, and laying down feels like a coffin. But the X-Dome 2 gives 43 inches of space to sit up, and the walls don't angle in so I don't feel like I'm trapped when I lay down. 2, 3, 4, 5. There's lots of room in this thing. There's also mosquitoes in here, I gotta get them out. Well, the next question is, what about weight? Well, the Durston X-Dome 2 weighs only 2.7 pounds. With the carbon fiber lightweight poles, I'm in lightweight love. With the ability to use 10 perimeter stakes and 12 guidelines, as well as adding your trekking pole to the angle of the door to add rigidity to the frame, this thing is practically bomb-proof. Now, getting to camp when it's raining can suck, but the X-Dome 2's ability to set up rainfly first allows you to keep your gear and your inner dry while you get camp set up. And on those nights that you know it's going to be dry and you want to stare up at that big beautiful sky, you can stargaze all night long. But what about ventilation? Well, my old tent zipped up like a sauna. Well, the X-Dome 2 has peak vents, wide doors, and the double wall gap keeps it breezy. And that means fresh air for me and Leo. And single wall tents can drip with condensation, and you're stuck with the rainfly even on those starry nights. But the X-Dome 2's double wall keeps the condensation off of me, and on those clear nights, I can take off the rainfly and howl at the moon. Oh! But what about vestibule space and storage? Well, my old tent had tiny vestibules and no pockets, but the X-Dome 2 has 15 square foot of vestibule space to store your gear, as well as 4 pockets, one on the head, one on the foot, and 2 on the sides for all the organization. Me and Leo are set. Well, that answers all of the problems that I've ever had about any 2-person freestanding tent. Dan Durston fixed them all. The X-Dome 2 is light, it's easy to pitch in any weather, it's spacious enough for me and Leo, and it's storm-proof. I may have found my perfect tent. What's been your biggest tent struggle that's drove you nuts? Comment down below and check out durstongear.com for what could be your new favorite tent. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one. I'm in lightweight love. Fluttering heart. I'm a dork.